If you would like to get your song reviewed, dear listener, there's the filthy capitalist option. As Sori says, $125 gets you straight to the head of the line. You don't have to be a part of the alliance. You don't have to be part of the group.
Wait a minute.
And the biggest thing is you don't have to wait. You hop, skip, and jump right in front of everybody. $125 gets you there. You do that 3 times, and you get mashed down to the $75 rate for perpetuity.
Yes!
Also, there is a band review option. So if you've got a band and you're trying to get your band some exposure, hit me up at villageXchange@gmail.com, and I'll show you the details about how to pull that off.
You can also jump on Patreon, and there is a option on the tiers to be able to get your band reviewed. Obviously, we can't lie to you, so we can't guarantee a positive review. Get what you get.
It's just rubbish.
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 That's British for garbage.
My favorite is the community option. $1 at the gate gets you in at Patreon. You get to join an alliance. The alliance joins their points together, and that helps determine what songs that we do.
The alliances hang out on Discord.
Message me on Patreon to get the link.
And they do all kinds of other cool things. They do Minecraft, Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah. It's really a community within the community. Anybody can go in the village, facebook.com/Vin and Sori. There's 160,000+ people on the channel. What's cool about the Discord is that it offers a real opportunity for community connection, friendship, that type of thing.
And it's on Discord, so if you're not a Facebook person, it's for you.
You start off at $1.
Right.
Plus you get exclusives. Sori and I are working on a song. So the first 15 seconds of that was on Patreon. Also, at $15 here and above, when we actually debut the video, they're going to be there live with us. There you are, dear listener.
Buy our merch.
Yeah.
Buy our merch indeed. A child shall lead them.
To buy our merch.
Yes, dear listener. Yes, dear listener. Yes, dear listener.
All right. We have a rapper by the name of Ren, and the name of the song is called Hi Ren. And you downloading it right now?
Yeah.
No W. There you go. You got it. Our DJ Mark says, for the last song, it's the official video for this one because I think it really adds to the song. And Ren is an independent artist who enjoys reactions to his music. Well,
He does.
Hi Ren. We're about to review Hi Ren.
Okay. Hi, Ren.
Alright.
Don't block us, bro.
Yeah.
Don't block us, bro.
Let this reaction through.
Let the reaction through.
All right, you guys.
What's the
we're
name
gonna
of the
check
song
this
now?
The name of the song is Hi Ren.
Oh, wait. So the guy's name isn't Hi Ren?
No,
The
his
song's
name is
Hi
Ren, and then he's saying Hi Ren, almost like he's saying hello to himself.
Okay.
Ready?
By the way, Ren spent 4 years almost paralyzed in a mental institution in UK after being misdiagnosed. He was bitten by a tick and no one noticed it. Holy shit.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, because that gives you Lyme disease. You know, tick, that's what...
No, I know.
Yeah, so he was institutionalized for 4 years. Holy shit. That beat my
God.
record. I thought I had the record. I was in that bitch for 6 months, but it wasn't...
That was a misdiagnosis. The man had a
misdiagnosis.
tick he needed them to remove. What?
All right, here we go. Hi Ren, bye Ren. Switch this thing around.
Hi there, Ren. It's been a little while. Did you miss me? You thought you buried me, didn't you? Risky. cause I always come back. Deep down you know that, deep down you know I'm always in periphery. Ren, on your pleased to see me. It's been weeks since we spoke, bro, I know you need me. You're the sheep, I'm the shepherd, not your place to lead me. Not your place to be biting off the hand that feeds me. Hi Ren, I've been taking some time to be distant. I've been taking some time to be still. I've been taking some time to be by myself since my therapist told me I'm ill. And I've been making some progress lately, and I've learned some new coping skills. So I haven't really needed you much, man. I think we need to just step back and chill. Ren, you sound more insane than I do. You think that those doctors are really there to guide you? Been through this a million times. Your civilian mind is so perfect, you're always being lied to. Okay, take another pill, boy. Drown yourself in the sound of white noise. Follow this 10-step program, rejoice. All your problems will be gone. Fucking dumb boy. Nah, mate, this time is different, man, trust me. I feel like things might be falling in place, and my music's been kinda doing bits too. Like I actually might do something great. And when I'm gone, maybe I'll be remembered for doing something special with myself. That's why I don't think that we should talk, man. Cause when you're with me, it never seems to help. You think that you can amputate me? I am you, you are me, you are I am we are one. Split in two, that makes one, so you see, you gotta kill you if you wanna kill me. I'm not leftover dinner, I'm not scraps on the side. Oh, your music is thriving, delusional guy. Where's your top 10 hit? Where's your interview with Oprah? Where are your Grammys, Ren? Nowhere. Yeah, but my music's not commercial like that. I never chase numbers, statistics or stats. I never write hooks for the radio, they never even play me, so why would I concern myself with that? But my music is really connecting, and the people who find it respect it. And for me that's enough, cause this life's been tough, so it gives me a purpose I can rest in. Man, you sound so pretentious. Ren, your music is so self-centered. No one wants to hear another song about how much you hate yourself. Trust me. You should be so lucky, having me inside you to guide you, remind you to manage expectations, provide you perspective. That thing you neglected, I get it. You wanna be a big deal, next Jimi Hendrix, forget it. Man, it's not like that. Man, it's just like that. I'm inside you, you twat. No, it's not, man, you're wrong. When I write, I belong. Let me break the fourth wall by acknowledging this song. Ren sits down, has a stroke of genius. He wants to write a song that was not done previous. A battle with the subconscious, Eminem did it. Played on guitar, Plan B did it. Man, you're not original, you criminal rip-off artist. The pinnacle of your success is stealing other people's material. Ren, mate, we've heard it all before. She sells seashells on the seashore. Fuck you, I don't need you, I don't need to hear this. Cause I'm fine by myself, I'm a genius. And I will be great, and I will make waves, and I'll shake up the whole world beneath us. That's right, speak your truth, your fucking god complex leaks out of you. It's refreshing to ask for you, say it instead of downplay it. Music is all about the creative process, and if people can find something to relate to within that, then that's just a bonus. Fuck you, I'ma fucking kill you, Ren. Well, fucking kill me then, let's fucking have you, Ren. I'ma do it, watch me prove it. Who are you to doubt my music? Cause I call the shots, I choose if you die. Yeah, I call the shots and so I choose who survives. I'll tie you up in knots when I lock you inside. Newsflash, I was created at the dawn of creation. I am temptation. I am the snake in Eden. I am the reason for treason, beheading all kings. I am sin, with no rhyme or reason. Son of the morning, Lucifer, Antichrist, father of lies. Mephistopheles, truth in a blender, deceitful pretender, the banished avenger, the righteous surrender. When standing in front of my solar eclipse, my name is stitched to your lips. So you see, I won't bow to the will of a mortal, feeble and normal. You wanna kill me? I'm eternal immortal. I live in every decision that catalyzes chaos, that causes division. I live inside death, the beginning of end. I am you, you are me, I am you, friend. Hi Ren, I've been taking some time to be distant. I've been taking some time to be still. I've been taking some time to be by myself, and I've spent half my life ill. But just as sure as the tide starts turning, just as sure as the night has dawned, just as sure as the rainfall soon runs dry when you stand in an eye of a storm. I was made to be tested and twisted. I was made to be broken and beat. I was made by his hand, it's all part of his plan that I stand on my own 2 feet. And you know me, my will is eternal. And you know me, you've met me before. Face to face with a beast, I will rise from the east and I'll settle on the ocean floor. And I go by many names also. Some people know me as hope. Some people know me as the voice that you hear when you loosen the noose on the rope. And you know how I know that I'll prosper? Cause I stand here beside you today. I have stood in the flames that cremated my brain, and I didn't once flinch or shake. So coward the man I've become, when I sing from the top of my lungs that I won't retire, I'll stand in your fire, inspire that me to be strong. And when I am gone I will rise in the music that I left behind. Ferocious, persistent, immortal like you, we're a climbing to different sides. When I was 17 years old, I shouted out into an empty room, into a blank canvas that I would defeat the forces of evil. And for the next 10 years of my life, I suffered the consequences, with autoimmunity, illness, and psychosis. As I got older, I realized there were no real winners and there were no real losers in psychological warfare, but there were victims and there were students. It wasn't David versus Goliath. It was a pendulum, eternally swaying from the dark to the light. And the more intensely that the light shone, the darker the shadow it cast. It was never really a battle for me to win. It was an eternal dance. And like a dance, the more rigid I became, the harder it got. The more I cursed my clumsy footsteps, the more I struggled. So I got older, and I learned to relax, and I learned to soften, and that dance got easier. It is this eternal dance that separates human beings from angels, from demons, from gods. And I must not forget, we must not forget, that we are human beings. And I must not forget, and that dance got more I struggled. So I got older, and I learned to relax, and I learned to soften, and that dance got easier. It is this eternal dance that separates human beings from angels, from demons, from gods. And I must not forget.
He talked about like sounding like Eminem, which is funny because I'm like, yo, that's because Eminem has this. It's Eminem is like his regular self, and then Slim Shady is his like dark alter ego, and he's the one doing all this bad stuff. So he's got a song with Dr. Dre where it's basically his good self and his alter ego going back and forth. Mm-hmm. These voices, I forgot the name of the song.
But is it theatrical like this one, or is it rap?
Well, it's like this.
It's very similar.
Well, what do you mean by theatrical?
Well, like in this one, it sounds like the way that he sings
augments
it,
his voice and stuff like that.
He changes it, and even like the way that he plays the instruments.
You're still saying no sound? They're lying. There's sound. They just talking shit. It's right there. Guilty Conscience. Yeah, that was the name of the song. Guilty Conscience. Yeah, and it was dramatic and all that. And then he was using Dr. Dre as his like good conscience, like don't listen to Slim, he's bad, and then Slim goes, you know what, Dre, I don't like your attitude. So anyway, Eminem kind of came, had the sort of Jekyll and Hyde concept, but I think there's like 20 years between when that song came out and this song. You see what I'm saying? Yep. And Eminem did not invent the Jekyll and Hyde concept, obviously, but he did do it in a really masterful, dramatic way. So like, I don't have to hear that whole definitely I'm like, yeah, like but he's doing something completely different. And it's one of the things I learned about music is that you don't necessarily have to be completely original. And I'm not even sure it's possible unless you're Tony Iommi or somebody like that. But can you take what's being done and put your own spin on it and do it like, so for example, Michael Jordan didn't invent the fadeaway, but he has the most beautiful fadeaway I've ever seen, right? So it's like somebody invented the idea of the fadeaway, but if I put him next to Jordan, forget it.
Right. Yeah.
And so then I'm like, okay, that makes a lot of sense. The reason originality was so important to me is because I came up in the nu metal era, and in the nu metal era, it's like literally you had 500 bands playing like the same 3 riffs. Like literally, that's what it was like. So
then it's really important to find the original.
Right. You were right. It made me go, gosh, I want to do something original and different. That's why, like, when I play guitar, I can't even play nu metal that well on it. You know what I'm saying? Like,
true.
So, like, I was very big on original. I want to
complex.
I want to be original. And then, like, the more you learn guitar, the more you learn, you dabble with a little bit of theory and things like that. The more you start to see that. Wait a second, everybody's doing kind of similar things here. This band is doing something with a time signature, but it's the way that you organize it, and it's a spirit that you put behind it. The real thing is, like, if you can get that emotion to really come out, and you saw that in the video where you're just going back and forth. It was just incredible. Incredible lyricism. Go ahead.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. For me, like, I've never seen the Eminem one, so I can't comment on that. I will say, though, that, like, the way that he did it, it definitely pulled on, like, my emotions, like, my heartstrings, I guess, the way that he did it. Like, you could feel for him. I felt like he was being really real, and he let us into a glimpse of kind of, like, I guess everybody has, like, a hidden self, that side of themselves that they're going to take, and they hide from everybody. But this one did seem like it was obviously more than just, like, your shadow self, because, especially when it started saying who they were. Like, what they called themselves.
Yeah.
And I will say, I don't know if you thought this was kind of crazy too, but so at the end, he does a spoken word, and, like, immediately when I heard this, I was like, uh-oh. Because he said, when I was 17 years old, I shouted out into an empty room, into a blank canvas, that I would defeat the forces of evil. And for the next 10 years of my life, I suffered the consequences with autoimmunity, illness, and psychosis.
Yeah, but did he actually have psychosis? Because people saying he was misdiagnosed. But I know that Lyme disease can fuck with you mentally as well. Like, Lyme disease...
It does?
Yeah, Lyme disease does have some psychological effects, too. Let me try to look at it. But, a broad range of psychiatric reactions have been associated with Lyme disease, including paranoia, dementia, schizophrenia, bipolar disorder, panic attacks, major depression, anorexia nervosa, and obsessive-compulsive disorder. That's Lyme disease that you can get from ticks.
Oh, I know. Yeah, that's crazy. I didn't know ticks could do that.
Yeah, so I'm not sure, like, if he was
Oh my gosh.
misdiagnosed or if they made a mistake relative to what would solve the problem. You see what I'm saying? But he's saying that he had autoimmunity, illness, and psychosis, which, of course, Lyme disease messes with your immune system as well. So, yeah, like, Lyme disease is what he had. Yeah. So, So, you can get psychosis from Lyme disease. It's just they misdiagnosed how to solve the problem or the origin of the problem. Because, like, did he grow up with psychosis? Was it genetic? Blah, 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 blah. I'm sure on the list, it's depending on where the guy lives, too. Like, up here, I'm sure that's probably going to be part of the profile. But, I don't know, in England, maybe they're not thinking about that.
That's so crazy that it was something that simple. And he went on for so long, unnecessarily.
Well, I've known a couple people with Lyme disease. It's not something like you completely get over or like cured, but you manage it, and there's medications. Donna was a big Lyme disease person. So
was that Amy girl we used to know.
It really messed her up, though. Like, there are times when she was sick, she couldn't come out.
Remember that other girl? She went to that church that you went to. It starts with U. Her name was Amy.
Yeah.
Anyway,
she is, but
yeah, she had issues with it also. It was pretty serious. They put her out of commission. She wouldn't even be able to come out for stuff.
He's still in treatment in Canada right now.
Jeez,
Yeah, like you get misdiagnosed with drugs, it'll fuck you up. I remember when I was there, I wasn't at his place, but I was in a mental institution, and I was in really, really bad shape until I forgot what it was, but like one of those drugs, man, like I didn't know I didn't know my name, I didn't know where what address I lived at, nothing. And I was like, yo, Petzl, this is not... She took me off of them immediately.
Mm-hmm.
But
Good for her.
it was the luck of the draw. I just happened to get a really good doctor. But yeah, they were about to hit me up with all... And I'm not against medication at all in any way, shape, or form. It's just, you have to really know what's going on with the patient. You know, for me, it was a lot of it. For me, it was genetic, X part genetic, X part environmental. And so that's one of the reasons why they set me up with a social worker who had me basically up for my first apartment, because they're like, you can't go back into that environment.
I'm pretty sure I found pictures of you at that point too.
Did
in
you?
that apartment, I think so. You look super young. It's crazy.
Was I really skinny?
Yeah.
I hadn't eaten.
Yes.
I didn't.
You were.
No, I might put some of those pictures up on there for you guys to see.
Those could be on Insta.
Yeah, I'll put them on. They'll be on Instagram. You guys will be able to see them. But
I found quite a few good ones.
I really so part of me is like hanging around the periphery as to how I want to interpret the lyrics of this song, and I don't want to. Well, I might as well. Okay. So here's the idea, right? Most of us believe that you have a body and then you have a mind, and then like, you know, the immaterial side of you, your personality, and blah blah blah. We call that like, oh, you're a person, right? Like you've got one. So you got one body, and then there's one individual that's you, and then you're making all those decisions and all the rest of it. That's a standard idea. But there are alternate ideas that actually within you are multiple consciousnesses that have multiple agendas.
Jung talks about this.
Jung talks about it a lot. I'm leaning heavily on you. I'm giving you like a Super Reader's Digest version, so that you have actually multiple consciousnesses with their own volition, meaning they have their own agendas that are not the same as the other ones. But there's one that's an executive consciousness that kind of is responsible to manage the other ones, the subordinate ones. Okay, so you've got one executive consciousness that I'm calling you, but within you there are multiple consciousnesses that want to do things.
You see this exemplified like in dreams, your subconscious that speaks to you in your dreams, where you might not want to deal with something, but when you fall asleep, your subconscious speaks. Also, when people say, you know, I was thinking about this, or I had a conversation with myself, like, well, what do you mean? Like, or when you have that discussion in your mind where it's like a two-sided discussion, it's like, how is this happening? That would be another example of it.
Yeah, and even the idea of the subconscious.
Right.
People say that, you know, you have dreams, and the dreams are your subconscious trying to communicate to you about something, but that you know, while you're awake, you know, you push out of it. And it's like, think through what's being said. It's like, so there's a part of my mind that's like, I need to communicate something to this dude, but there's too much noise, so I'm going to wait till he's asleep and there's nothing he can do about it, and then I'll have my opportunity to score. So you're saying that there's a consciousness within you that has volition and has planning and has foresight and uses strategy to communicate a message.
Yep.
So,
and it can be like literally the exact opposite of how you personally feel. Like, I know people that have had, you know, they've been assaulted in like in regular life, and they don't want to think about it. They want to escape completely from the memory of it. And they said it was horrible because when they would fall asleep, they were forced to deal with it in their dreams, which is not what they wanted to do at all.
Correct.
They would keep themselves awake so they didn't have to be in that situation.
Right.
So it's like, okay, well, who's at the control panel when that's happening?
Right. And that again, that's the reason that we hold people responsible. What we're saying is you're the executive consciousness. So you had the most influence over what this body does. So we're going to hold you accountable. That does not mean that, that you're in control of all of them all the time. You're responsible for the decisions you make and which one you listen to. That's where we hold you responsible. So if I look at this song, a lot of people are going to interpret this as metaphorical of, you know, he's got one mind that does this, but then the other half of him is that he's torn. That's one way of looking at it. Another way of looking at it is to say that the bad, dark version, his shadow, whoever's talking to him, is a real being that can be negotiated with. That's the active imagination thing. He talks about negotiating with those other consciousnesses and coming to some sort of détente and moving on with life. It's incredible.
Right.
I would recommend that book. I would recommend that book to anyone. Go ahead.
I mean, there's also a third option. I mean, he seems to take it to a very spiritual place.
Yeah.
He says, it's been weeks since we spoke, bro. I know you need me. You're the sheep. I'm the shepherd. Not your place to lead me. And then in the, as he progresses, he says what the name of the...
He says Mephistopheles and Lucifer and all that.
From the beginning of time
command
and
F
all
it.
that stuff. Oh, yeah.
Just type Lucifer. There it is right there. There you go. Beheading all kins, I am sin with no rhyme or reason.
Dawn of creation, I am temptation. I am the snake in Eden. I am the reason for treason. Beheading all kings, I am sin with no rhyme or reason. Son of the morning, Lucifer, Antichrist, father of lies.
Mephistopheles, truth in a blender, deceitful pretender, the banished avenger, the righteous surrender when standing in front of my solar eclipse. So that right there, later, Tony.
Eternal, immortal.
Yeah.
I live in every decision that catalyzes chaos.
Catalyze chaos.
Yeah, and causes division.
Yeah, multiple personality disorder is very, very interesting. There are some people that believe that all of reality is a consequence of God's multiple personality disorder. Like it's real. I'm not going to get into it right now, but it really, really, really is that. Doesn't Rem mean Adam and Eve when he says, I'm the snake in Eden? I don't think so, because he said that he was eternal before he said he was a snake in Eden.
What is this?
Where are those lyrics?
Lucifer, right here. No, right there.
Yeah, so he calls him, he says, I am temptation. He says, I was created at the dawn of creation. I am temptation. I am the snake in Eden. I am the reason for treason. So that's obviously talking about the devil character that you see in the book of Genesis, which I'm not certain that the person was actually the devil, but that's a different discussion. So he's got these competing, and then on the other side you have what people call spiritual forces, or other people would call them, it's a big thing right now in ufology to talk about extra dimensionals. So one theory is that these UFOs or whatever are actual beings from other planets who have mastered, non-propulsion technology, anti-gravity in such a way as to be able to travel light years and whatever. So that's one theory, which is a common understanding of what these UAPs are. The other theory, which I'm more inclined to believe about that, is actually that we're dealing with interdimensional crafts and beings, and not interstellar beings. So they're operating in a completely different dimension. So now you've got Jacques Vallée. Jacques Vallée is probably the most respected individual in ufology. The government consults with him. Jacques Vallée takes the interdimensional perspective. He doesn't take the interstellar. He's saying these beings are not coming from fucking Alpha Centauri down to here. They're actually coming from another dimension, and that's why they violate all the laws of physics and things like that, because they're operating in a different dimension. Well, so that means that I have a secular category for beings who are intelligent, who are not part of this dimension.
Right.
Who can then interface with us. Okay, how is that different from spiritual people talking about the spiritual worlds or demons or whatever?
Right, yeah.
Right? So these are simplistic terminologies that we're using to talk about extra dimensional realities from the norm of what we have here. And so when he says, I'm Mephistopheles, I'm this, I'm that, a naturalistic way of looking at all of this is to say this guy has a broken brain and it's in shards, and, he's just saying all types of nonsense. Another way to look at it is to say, this guy, for whatever reason, is more sensitive to that dimension and his own internal dialogue. He's more sensitive to that than other people, and because of that, it's driving him crazy. Right? So I understand, he probably means the devil stuff and everything metaphorically. Go back to that last thing when he says, because he said something really interesting at the end.
His spoken word?
Yeah, he says about the dance and God and all that. Can you just command?
Right there. It's the eternal dance. Right here. And I learned to relax and I learned to soften. The more I curse my clumsy footstep.
Yeah, okay.
The battle.
It was never really a battle for me to win. It was an eternal dance. And like a dance, the more rigid I became, the harder it got. The more I
cursed my clumsy footsteps, the more I struggled. So I got older, and I learned to relax, and I learned to soften, and that dance got easier. It is this eternal dance that separates human beings from angels, from demons, and from gods.
He's talking about the swaying from dark to light, that we just keep going back and forth,
Right.
and we don't settle on one.
So he's saying, he's learned to accept all of it. All the good stuff, all the bad stuff. It's part of the dance, and it's what makes us us, and what makes life is the ebbs and the flows, and to not always, you don't have to resist or go into battle every time like a dark period comes in. You can just recognize it as a dark period and understand that it's going to last for a time, just like a dance move, but then the music's going to change and you're going to go over here, and it's going to, and so once you let go of that and go with the flow, then yeah, you're going to be a lot less anxious if you can adopt that kind of a philosophy. It doesn't solve everything. I mean, he's still in treatment. It doesn't solve everything, but it does give you a fighting chance at being able to deal with the things in the world that shouldn't be. There's a lot of things going on that should not be the way that they are. And so it's a tough balance, because it's like, on the one hand, you can get really quietist about it and say, yep, everything is just it is, and I'm a log, and I'm just gonna float along in the ocean. Like, if you hold that worldview to its extreme, then we never get any social progress, right?
Right.
But if everything is a battle, we also never get social progress, because everybody's dead. Which is what's happening in our country right now, is we're all at war with each other. And so none of us can progress. Every group feels like their group is going backwards. It's very fascinating. You listen to left-wing radio, they all feel they're going backwards. You listen to right-wing radio, they all feel they're going backwards, like nothing is happening. It's because we're always at war with one another.
Yeah.
And so until your enemy is completely vanquished, you're going to say that you're not winning. So, like, understanding like how pendulums swing, that's a really insightful understanding of what he was talking about. He says, I got older, I realized there were no real winners and there were no real losers in psychological warfare. I disagree with that. But there were victims and there were students. Okay. It wasn't David versus Goliath, it was a pendulum eternally swaying from dark to the light. Yeah, if you can understand that rhythm in life as a principle, it can help you not panic. You can't stay there.
Yeah.
Because if you stay there, then you're not going to do anything to change the outside world. But what you can do is you can engage the outside world with a certain confidence, and you're not doing it from a state of panic, which is what's happening a lot in our country right now. Everybody's panicked about everything because the two main emotions that are floating around in this country right now are hate and fear.
Yep.
And when you get hate and fear, those are the only thing more powerful than that is love. And I know that sounds corny, but I'm telling you, our government is monetizing and mechanizing fear.
100%.
To get 100%. Us all right. So like an understanding that maybe there's something deeper happening psychologically or spiritually, however you want to consume that idea. Something is happening to our country and to the Western world as a whole.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I've been talking about dark intelligences since we started this channel. But now, because of all the UAP, go look at it yourself. Jacques Vallée, go. I mean, the United States government has come out and said, we've got these craft and they're not from here and whatever. Okay, so even the U.S. government at the highest levels are acknowledging that there are beings that are intelligent that somehow can violate the laws of physics. Okay, so if I have a category for that, then why is it so crazy to say that maybe Ren and the rest of us are dealing with malevolent, non-physical intelligences? Is that possible? When you look at the way that everything is, I think it's possible to say that there are deeper things happening other than just a regular sociological, whatever that people would attribute things to. I think you hamstring yourself if you don't have that as a category. So like, for example, Christians, a lot of Christians stereotypically don't delve into science a lot. And so they're
Yeah.
hamstrung. Christians are hamstrung
Yep.
when we're having discussions relative to science because
Yeah.
that's not a discipline that they committed themselves to.
Yeah, I think sometimes that they get like I just was watching this discussion because it was this Christian that was like, hey, where does the Bible talk about dinosaurs? Doesn't, like legs like a cedar, wouldn't that, or Leviathan, wouldn't those things kind of categorize as dinosaurs or something? And like, there was like all this like stress about it and stuff. It was like, well, what does it matter? Like, if it's there, it's there. If it's not, it's not. Like, but yeah, I agree. I think that sometimes not knowing, I guess maybe that was almost the opposite point, but.
Well, modern secularists, I mean, look, they have no mechanism for dealing with interdimensional beings who are malevolent. They don't have the first thing. They don't. A lot of unbelief is just rooted in fear, and that's it. The fascinating thing is like people are like, oh, the volcanoes were erupting and ancient people didn't know, so they made a god out of it and blah blah blah. I'm like, the gods that we've all invented are much scarier than a volcano. So
Yeah.
if we came up with the gods to help us deal with our fear of the volcano, that's like saying you have a stubbed toe, I'm going to break your ankle so that you're no longer worried about the stubbed toe.
Right,
it's like,
yeah,
if you want that simplistic sort of answer, go for it. It doesn't explain why they made their gods scarier than the volcano, but go ahead. If you have this postmodernist, arrogant idea that all you see is all there is, and you're not going to believe something unless a group of scientists or group of people in authority tell you what to believe. So what happens is they can't explain any of this shit. They can't even explain consciousness from their worldview, for God's sake. So they almost have to be invincibly ignorant of those realities because they don't have any mechanisms to identify them, to talk about them. Like, how does this work? None of that. Because they're stuck in this this worldview that's impossible to defend. Matter is all there is. Matter is all there is. Ridiculous. That's a dumb That's got to be one of the stupidest ideas I've ever heard in my life. That matter's all there is. It's got to be in the top 5 of the stupidest things I've ever heard in my life.
I agree.
And I've heard a lot of dumb shit in my life. But that one, I don't know. So yeah, like this is a really, really fascinating song because it goes into like multiple personalities, executive consciousness, like all these other things that are really fascinating. One of the things that I got out of that book about active imagination is that these things can be negotiated with. And I thought that was so fascinating. I don't know if I'm going to talk about like my one experience in active imagination. It was definitely fascinating. It was a crazy experience, but I shared it with you, but I don't think I would share that with anybody else. I mean, that was pretty crazy situation. I'm trying to find the author of that book.
Well, while you look for that, I'll kind of. Is it
Yeah,
right
go ahead.
there? Yeah. So I have seen the spoken outro.
I'm sorry. It's Inner Work by Robert A. Johnson. If you're interested in active imaginations and the ontology of people that you've made up in your head, that's a very, very good book. Go ahead.
There you go. So I've seen the outro before, and like immediately when I heard I heard the outro, I was like, oh shit. When he said like him being 17 years old and shouting to an empty room and a blank canvas that I would defeat the forces of evil, and for the next 10 years of my life I suffered the consequences. And autoimmunity illness, the psychosis, and then obviously we find out that that's Lyme disease. But I still don't think it takes away from. Now I don't know Ren. I don't even know like literally anything about his life except for what we're seeing here and what's written in this song. So I could be completely off in left field. But when I heard this part, I was like, oh shit, because it reminded me of something that I had seen in the book of Acts. 7 sons of Sceva. It said, now there were some Jewish exorcists who tried to invoke the name of the Lord Jesus over those with evil spirits. They would say, I bind you by Jesus, whom Paul proclaims. 7 sons of Sceva, a Jewish priest, were doing this. Eventually, one of the evil spirits answered them, Jesus I know, and I know about Paul, but who are you? and the man with the evil spirit jumped on them and overpowered them all. The attack was so violent that they ran out of the house naked and wounded. This became known to all the Jews and Greeks living in Ephesus, and fear came over all of them. So the name of the Lord Jesus was held in high honor. Many who had believed now came forward, confessing and disclosing their deeds. And a number of those who had practiced magic arts brought their books and burned them in front of everyone. The word of the Lord powerfully continued to spread and prevail. So it reminded me of this story because these people were not, like, they were trying to control the forces of evil by using their own strength. They weren't coming because they knew that Jesus had power over those evil spirits, because that's the thing, like, just me and Vin on the regular, like, what are we going to do about some other dimensional evil whatevers? But if, Jesus, who died and rose again, has power over all of that. And so that's what you're doing, is you're basically saying, like, it's basically like you're a kid and you go to the park and you don't have any strength to fight off any of the bad guys, but you got a big brother back at home, and you're basically saying, yo, that's my big brother. So, right. This is how this is going to go down, because Jesus said before he left, look, I'm giving you power over what you say here on earth is going to happen in the spiritual realm. So he kind of gave his people like power that he had. But these people weren't connected to Jesus, and they weren't connected to Paul, but they were over in there trying to like control around these evil spirits. And that's a really fatal mistake, because none of us are more powerful than the evil that exists. We're only more powerful when, like I said, we've tapped into the spiritual power of the one that's greater than us, namely Jesus Christ. So when the homie said that, I was like, oh shit. And then he followed it up with saying like stuff got really bad for him. And I can't say what was going on inside of him, but it sounded like that I would defeat the forces of evil, and then shit broke down. And I think that there's nothing happens without there being a purpose or a reason behind it. And I would say, like, if that's what happened, then that's God's mercy, because if we believed that we had power over evil to that degree, and we didn't need the higher powers of Jesus himself, then we could find ourselves in a place that actually is, I guess not where you would want to be. I don't know how to put that last piece there. But so that kind of stuck out to me, and especially because, he was talking about like, the name of the one that was like going after him. At the same time, I do think that if you grow up in a religious environment, then something can be categorized as something that it's not. So for instance, you could have like Lyme disease and you need special treatment for that, but instead like it's being looked at as like there's some demon that's speaking to you, and you know what I'm saying, like like sometimes people need actual like just like medicine, because like Vin was saying at the beginning, like people are we're made up of a body, soul, and a spirit. So your body is like what's physical here. Your soul is the part of you that's like your mind, your will, your emotions. It's what decides what kind of ice cream you want. It's kind of your personality. And then, you have your spirit, which connects you to the supernatural, whether it's to God, to Jesus, or it connects you to some demonic. It's kind of like the hair that raises on the back of your neck when you go into some creepy area or whatever, like that sort of thing. So we're made up of all that stuff. So maybe somebody has something going on with their body, like they have like chemicals that are imbalanced and they need medication that's going to straighten that out. So it's not a spiritual issue, but sometimes people can make it like, oh, like there's some demonic thing going on, when it's really just like you need some medicine. Simultaneously, sometimes people can try to medicate someone and think that there's a body issue, like let's medicate this person, when there's actually a deep spiritual issue that's going on, and that issue is going to be unresolved by the medication. It's only going to like it could make things worse, or it could just kind of like deaden things for a little bit, but then it comes back with like a vengeance. It kind of can be a kind of a scary thing, to be misdiagnosed. So I do think that it's important, though, for each person to know what they're made up of, that you are body, soul, spirit. Because if you see a doctor, they're really looking just for your body. And if you see a pastor, he's looking really for just your spirit. And I don't know, your souls, your friends and your mom, that's like your soul people. But I think you got to kind of bring all that together and understand that you're made up of all those things to be able to make sure you're getting the right diagnosis. Because there are sometimes maybe you need the pastor,
Right.
Sometimes you need your friends, and sometimes you need the doctor. So,
or maybe we need all of it. We need
Yes,
medicine.
we need all of it
theology,
together.
We need philosophy.
Absolutely.
We need all of it together. But
Yeah.
each of these disciplines believes that their discipline alone
Is the only
accounts
one.
for
It
all of
doesn't. It
And
doesn't.
I'm sorry, it doesn't.
And I was thinking about when one of my kids they fell outside and they were crying, and I was like thinking, oh my gosh, like this is, you always see this moment depicted where mom picks them up and dusts off their boo-boo, kisses them, hugs them, and I'm like, that's a holistic moment because, for us, I say a little prayer that God's going to heal it because I know God is going to. So they get to see a prayer within the next 2 days. God has that prayer answered for them, and it's amazing. Like they're like blown away when they see that. Like, God healed it. Look, Mom, it's crazy. So it's a really holistic moment, and I think that those moments are like, people look at that, they're like, oh, that's so sweet, you know what I mean, like that moment. But it is, you took care of their body, you hugged and kissed them, and that kind of takes care of their soul, and then you say a prayer for their healing.
Dwayne's wife jumped on Yoko Ono.
Hello.
What do you give the song?
Oh my gosh, I love this one. I love what he did with it. I love that I just felt like he was being very honest with it. This one's an 11. I would listen to this one again. It's 11 for me.
Solid 9. Shout out to the homie. He
Yeah.
did a really, 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 really good song. I hope he's better.
Yeah. Get with Jesus. That's what I would say. Read the book of John and kind of just sit in the character and get to know him. That's what I would suggest.
Modern psychology based itself on a multi-dimensional mode. Just got out of 3 years of school. There's just a lot of money in. That's really interesting. Isaac, send me an email, vinandsori@gmail.com, and tell me a little bit more of what you need on what you meant by the multi-dimensional thing. That's really, really interesting.
Finn is
vinandsori@gmail.com.
You just gave him a gift. It's something new he hasn't heard about. He's like, oh! All right.
All right, dear listener, we are out of
That
here.
is that for tonight.
Stay tuned. We've got an amazing commercial coming up from y'all.
We do.
You're
Be on the lookout.
You're going to want to see it. Some major changes. It's all good. It's all good.
Sorry, yup, John. What? What am I upping John about?
Do you guys have any currently living war veterans?
In our village?
Really good job.